Hey, family, and happy Tuesday. Listen, if you are still struggling, trying to figure out what in the world your speaking topic should be, tonight you are in the right spot. We're continuing with our Women in Leadership series. Tonight, we're going to discuss some ways in which you can discover your speaking topic so we can get you out here in the speaker streets. We'll be right back after today's introduction. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence. Excellence in everything, every time. I'm so excited that you're spending Tuesday with me. If I have not yet met you, my name is LinnitaHosten, and I help build audacity in women leaders to use their voice in any room. And if you were to put it in plain language, I am a public speaking coach. Really passionate about the topic of communication. I've spent the last 10 years being a public speaker myself, being paid professionally to do so. Excited to transition onto the other side, in which I'm equipping people or women in particular, who just want to develop their voice. And I believe that our public speaking skills, they transfer into so many other arenas of our lives. So it's a great soft skill to build, complete advocate for it. Okay, so how to discover your speaking topic. I'm going to jump right in. And I do want to say, if this is your first time watching, let me know where you're watching from. I would love to hear where you're watching from. If you happen to catch tonight's replay, I want you to type in hashtag replay. And this episode is pre-recorded because I am going to a concert tonight. But nevertheless, I still wanted to make sure I got you your weekly content as promised. So I'm going to jump in. I have a few things I want to share when you're looking to discover your speaking topic. And I want to say this: for the first 5 or 6 years where I didn't hire support, I was just kind of winging my journey. I didn't have a speaking topic per se. I had an area that I could support, and then I would recreate the wheel of what I was going to present every time. It was exhausting, actually. So I didn't have a signature message or key signature messages. And I want to say this, when you are crafting a message, let's say you have 1, 2, or 3, you could have 5 too, but you should know those messages so well that if your original start time or original content time is 20 minutes, but the event planner says, I'm sorry, but we got to give you 12. Or if you start off with 45, but due to the lack of time, they cut you down to 20. When you know your content so well, the length of time does not matter. You just choose pockets of it. And the way that you get so, I would say, skilled at simplifying your messages is to practice them. And so when you're thinking about your speaking topics, here's some things I want you to consider. Because what I'm trying to say is that you should have them so refined and you should be repeating them, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But a custom message should not be your normal go-to. When you're speaking, when you have a specific speaking topic, you can begin to turn down opportunities if they don't align with your niche. What I did was I never turned anything down. I was flattered by the invitation, and I never got to nail down a niche or a specific lane or expertise. So I was what people would call a generalist. What I love about being known for your line of work is that when there is a specific need, people think of you. You'll be top of mind. And so having a speaking topic and sticking to that, I think, is what creates long-term sustainability in your speaking career. So that's why I think a topic is so important. It's for the sustainability that for your speaking business, if it's a business model for you, but also it helps give people a frame of reference when they're thinking about you and how you can serve other people. Okay, so when trying to discover your speaking topic, I would ask myself, or I would ask you, what is your story? You don't have to be missing a limb to be a speaker. You don't have to have some traumatic story where you lost everything, started from the bottom, now you're here. You don't have to have served in World War II and now you are working in, like, you don't have to have this completely transformative, very captivating story. I don't even have that. And I think that's a misconception that people feel I don't have a story or I don't have something significant enough that would deem me as a speaker. And we all do. What I think we have to be intentional about is sitting down and literally inventorying every time your life took a turn, whether that be based on the decision that you made, lack thereof, or maybe the environments that you were in and how you responded to them. Every time your life took a turn for good or for the not so good, there were some things that you learned, and I'm sure there are some stories associated with that. So, what is your story? What life experiences have positioned you to have this message or this desire to speak? So, I'd start there, inventorying what those story components are. When I first started speaking, my story was that my parents, who sent me to college, I was the first in my family to go to college, what I did when I got there, and how I was now passionate about making sure other students did the same. As a result of what I did when I got to my college campus, I was able to negotiate my first salary. So the story was I was privileged to go. When I got there, I dominated the experience, so much so that my return on investment was me picking my place of employment and now inspiring other people that they can choose or chart their course too. There's nothing so special about that at all. But it doesn't have to be. It just has to be a story that you can convey and make a connection to your audience. So that's the first thing I'll ask you. What is your story? The next thing I'll ask you is, what steps did you take to overcome the challenge, or what did you learn? Because that's technically, they are points to your messaging, but they also could be workshops. They could be boot camps. They could be half-day seminars. If these are things that you did, likely they could be simplified into points, but they also can be taught into long-form content. So that's part of your how you could select your range of speaking topics too, based on what you've encountered, what you could teach. You could select topics that way. So first few of my topics, I remember writing one of my very first workshops were the 10 commandments of something about having a great the 10 commandments of first generation students, and 10 is too many, by the way, but that was relative. What I was teaching were the 10 behaviors that I realized in hindsight that I displayed on my campus that I felt like other students would benefit from knowing about. So I shared that with them. So that's just an example. So thinking through the steps that you took, and then finding a way to strategically tell that. I'm not going to say you can't. You don't have to tell it all in one setting. So you'd be surprised what feels like 15% to you is 100% to someone else. So you don't have to share everything. Just share maybe one or one and a half, two things that you can pull from. And it's likely that you feel like that's not enough, but it's the depth of what you're sharing likely is probably more than enough. So yes, think through the steps. Those are two. So here's the third thing. Now that you've shared with the audience, you've established a level of credibility, and you have reference points that you are using to draw a story or create a messaging around. You want to think about what steps can your listener take to achieve the results that you achieved. So based on that could be a totally different speaking topic as well. So far you have, based on your story, what you've experienced, what kind of gives you that credibility. And then you have what steps did you take? So that could be a workshop. And then you have what can other people do? So based on what you've learned, and this is out of the results of what you've encountered, what are the concrete things people can do to have a transformation or the same result that you had? So that can be your meat and bones of your topic. It can also be the meat and bones of your workshop or boot camp. And then this is something that I'm really passionate, adamant about. What happens when your listener doesn't take action? Based on what you shared with them, what you've encountered, what would have happened if you didn't take action? You could say that in your messaging, like, man, if I never took it out, I would have never known. But that doesn't hit the heart the same way it does when you give your audience ownership of the lack of decision making. So you reframe it and when you're teaching it, you would say something to the effect of, when we don't do this or when this doesn't happen, these are the things that we are privy to. So when you think about those kind of areas, what can people learn, or what is your story? What steps did you take? What could your listener or audience do to achieve very similar results? What happens if they don't do the results or the expertise that you garner? What happens if they don't do that? What could they experience? Those are some key places in which you can draw your speaking topics from. I also want to share a few things to avoid, okay? I believe acronyms are outdated. I think it lacks creativity. I think what makes speaking topics very creative is what typically happens is people use buzzwords that are relevant to current events, current music, current trends, current media, and relevant media. That's one thing. So if you have an upcoming conference, and let's say you're speaking on diversity and inclusion, and you know that we have this immigration issue in the U.S. that is an ongoing battle, and diversity, inclusion, equity, you may say something like a speaking topic or a speaking title. Let me rephrase that. To your workshop or keynote might be crossing the border in the workplace, or eliminating the border in the workplace. Those are kind of the idea of the border is kind of like a hot topic. I'm trying to think of something else. Let's say you are in healthcare and you have a speaking topic around diabetes, and you might say, what's when you go big in size for the drinks and fries? Super size. Okay, so you might say something like, you could have a play on one of the fast food chains. I'm thinking about eat great, even late. You might say eat great, even, you can rhyme with late. Eat late, Jake, sake. Eat great for your own sake. Or I'm just giving some ideas. I'm not always initially good at naming things. I have to take some time and think about them. But what I'm trying to say is that when you've decided the area of topic that you want to do, the title of it matters. You got to think of it as, think of the title as your music video to your music song. But before there was social media, a music artist, when they were releasing a new track or new album, the music video was a driver of sales, maybe a glimpse into the energy behind the song. It was a symbolism of the song. Your title to your speaking topics are like a glimpse into the song that you would potentially sing when you're in front of an audience. So you definitely want to play with your titles. I always say, if someone reads the title aloud and they say, that sounds interesting, it needs to make a person say, I want to hear more about that. Some of my speaking titles, just in case you're interested, I have a few leadership development programs. One is called Leading from the Passenger Seat, and that's about soft skills and leadership. One is Drive Like a Girl. That's about for women leaders managing their emotions when they're in leadership. You see how I could have named it Managing Emotions for Women Leaders, but Drive Like a Girl creates a little bit of like what is that about? And not only does it do that, but it gives me creativity when it's time to implement it. There's car symbolism all inside the messaging. Lots of symbolism related to driving and that sort of thing. So when you play with your speaking topic, you can play with its delivery as well. My latest speaking topic is public speaking for smarties, and that's a play on public speaking for dummies because typically that whole something for dummies is a very thorough review of something for people who may not have any experience. And that's exactly what public speaking for smarties is, except while they may not have public speaking experience, they have a lot of experience in leading. And so that's why it's public speaking for smarties. Um, so those are some examples of my speaking topics. Well, speaking titles to the topics that I've done. So when you're thinking about your topic, I want you to essentially do an inventory of your life experience. What happened in those encounters? What did you learn? And then you'll have to do some creative brainstorming. This is not something that I think, well, it depends on your level of creativity, but I do believe that sometimes it takes time to marinate on really what you've learned. You have a storehouse of memory regarding experiences, life lessons, etc. And that's very difficult to extract and simplify. So you actually have to sit down and really ask yourself, like, what do I want to be known for? And what experience do I have that validates that knowledge? And then how can I simplify the knowledge into something that someone would actually want to learn? And then what can I title it to draw curiosity so that people would want to buy into, listen to, learn more about that thing? So this is when your creative hat has to literally hop on. So you got to get logical first, and then you got to go and get your creative juices. So this is a left and a right brain exercise. So don't get discouraged if it doesn't come right away. Just know that it's in you. So you just might have to take some time to get it out of you. You might have to take some time to get it out of you. Before I go today, I want to share this. My Build My Message Masterclass is coming up this Friday. It's perfect for women who are in leadership, ministry, corporate, business. You run a small business or you are a leader in your workplace. What we'll be learning is how to piece together, or I'd say craft, a very powerful and engaging keynote. When I say engaging, I mean the audience members are like very tuned into what you're saying from start to finish. I think that there's a very tactical way to do that without telling any. I don't have any really sad stories that I tell. I don't have sad stories. I have some really great memories that I've gotten really good at conveying, but I don't manipulate people with sad stories or music that creates a sad. I don't have any of those theatrics. And we'll talk about that in the master class too. So I don't want to jump too far in the weeds, but if that interests you, I would love to serve you. You can grab your seat at buildmymessage.com. And if you have any questions about the masterclass, not sure if it's for you, just shoot us a message and we'll reply and let you know if we think it's a good fit for you. That will be this Friday, 12 to 2 Eastern Standard Time. And I would love to serve you. So if you're interested, let us know. Okay, so tell me what you learned today. If you were able to watch the entire episode, what was your takeaway? If you're someone who's been deciding what your speaking topic is, or you're looking to change, diversify, or pivot, tell me what was your takeaway from today. I would love to hear that. And I do go back and jump in on the comments for every episode. So don't feel like because this is not live that I won't watch it or see it, because I will. Is there anything else I wanted to share with you guys? I'll also add this. A great way to see what event planners are looking for is to go through conference online booklets. If you can go to a previous conference and see what sessions were they highlighting, what keynote messengers or keynote speakers did they select? What are those people talking about? Looking at a series of events and that year's event booklet or last year's is a great way to see. You can also look at the titles that people are using. Don't steal them though. Don't be janky and steal somebody else's stuff. But you can certainly get some creativity from seeing what others are doing and how they are describing their work. I didn't talk about this too, but the description of your topic is just as valuable as the title. So when you're writing that description, you have to write it as if you're a conference attendee or a meeting planner attendee. There are 10 other breakout sessions. Yours is just one of them. Why should they come and sit in your session? That's how your description should be written. It should be written in, is that third person? You? Yeah, you, your, you just got into leadership. Yeah, I think third person is correct. But if you have any questions about that, shoot us a message. Happy to schedule some time to chat with you. If you would like to do what I call a knowledge transfer, if you like to do a deep dive, let me know. I'd love to send you the link so that we can get that time scheduled. All right. I absolutely love you. There's nothing you can do about it. I'll see you next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to see what concert I'm going to see tonight, jump into my Instagram stories. I'll see you next week. Love you. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be